I feel like if we really do build a community that's very united, that could really be an empowering thing, and that could really provide so many resources for people that even come from India to America to study. And so when I hear these success stories, they make me more motivated in doing more things for youth, because there's so much drama within the auntie and uncle community. The Indian community is so built on judging people, talking bad about other people, and for me, like, that's some narrative I want to change. There's a lot of people that think like, oh, mental health is not a real disease. It's something that it's fake. It's something that you really made up. And I just feel like your own personal mental well-being is like the most powerful thing ever.
Hi, and welcome to Indian Explorers. In this podcast, we talk about Indian success stories. I am Sabrina, and together with my co-host Amit, we will get to understand the journey of our guests and what drives them. Their optimism, patience, idealism, and courage, these are their attributes which we hope to bring to life in our conversation with them. So if you enjoy the show, please hit the subscribe button and share it with others. Today, we're excited to introduce Neeharika. She is the founder of Young Indian Professionals of New England, a collaborative networking platform catered for young Indian professionals who reside in the New England community. She is passionate about promoting South Asian culture in her Western world. She is also a leader in the healthcare industry as the administrative supervisor for the New England region at Encompass Health. Welcome. How are you?
Good. How are you? Thank you so much, Sabrina and Amit, for letting me be part of the podcast today.
Thanks for being here. We appreciate it.
You're welcome. So, Neeharika, where should we start? Like, can you give us where you were born, where you were raised?
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about yourself.
So I can give you like the whole, life journey. So I was born and raised in Boston, Massachusetts area. So I've been like, living here all my life, and I did all my schooling in Andover, Massachusetts until I reached college when I went to Boston University. So growing up as a child, I've always been, involved with the Indian community. I did try Indian traditional dance called Kathak. But then I realized it was not for me, but my bells, that lagunguru that was in my feet kept falling. And I was like, yeah, this is going to be an issue. So I was
How old are you? When you say all my life, you seem quite young to me.
I'm 24 years old, actually. So
24.
I know I've lived a short life per se, but, it is what it is.
I've lived twice as long as you.
You don't look like that at all.
He's your uncle. He's your older uncle.
No, you're all too cool to be an uncle right now.
Okay, so tell us about your parents. Were they born in India?
Yeah.
Did they have an arranged marriage? When did they come to the US?
So basically, my parents both were born in India, and then they did their schooling there. But obviously, for their masters, they came here because of the American dream per se. And they both met at college. They both met at UMass Lowell, actually. So they didn't have your typical arranged marriage. They had a love marriage, which is very, it wasn't traditional at that time. So, I've always been growing up knowing that, I don't have to do things that are traditional. I can just do things that, are meant for me. So, and they are very supportive towards me. I consider them my best friends because like they really do support and they care for me, and, they're my well-wishers. So I really do believe that parents provide the foundation for a kid, but the kid has to take their values that they learn from their parents and really take it to the next level and teach it to their friends and even the future generation. So, I'm really close to my parents, and, they're the reason why I'm here today and why, I do the things that I do.
Can I ask you or Sabrina? Because I have this tiff with my wife. Because what Neeharika just said, I share. But my wife keeps telling me that we're not here to be friends with our children. Like I need to be a tougher dad. I need to discipline them more. And, we need to be a parent, not a friend. I don't know sometimes where that line is. Sabrina, what are your thoughts on that?
I love hanging out with my daughter, Neeharika. She's 11, and I feel like I parent, but she's also like my best buddy. Like I love hanging out with her.
I don't feel like I parent. I feel
Yes.
like I'm a friend.
Yeah.
But I don't think that's the right approach either. But I feel different or difficult to do it any other way.
It is weird when we're hanging out and then after a minute I'm like, well, don't do that, like
Yeah.
so there's a fine line,
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
it's a fine
She is.
line,
She's
yeah.
I love hanging out with her.
I think it's really cool. Like I hang out with my parents, I hang out with even their friends, and I think like even though they're like aunties and uncles, I don't really consider them an auntie and uncle because they don't give me that energy. But I enjoy hanging out with my parents, and sometimes they do act cool, but sometimes like they do act strict when they need to be strict.
Do you have siblings or boyfriend? That
No, I do not have siblings. I currently don't have a boyfriend. So,
okay?
I'm just living my best life as per se.
That's awesome.
Okay.
Yeah, so I'm just, I'm focused on my job, which is obviously being an administrative supervisor at Encompass Health. And I really do love healthcare because, in times like today, it's really important for people to go back into their normal self. And for me, if I can help them do that, that means the world to me. And then obviously with my organization, when I started it, I never expected it to reach to where it is today. I was like, when I started it, it was basically because of a conversation I had over breakfast. So my mom and I, my parents, we always have breakfast together. We try to, at least not during the weekdays, but for the weekends. And for one conversation, I was like, there's a lack of, youth initiatives in the Indian community in Boston. There's a lot of, organizations that are cultural or charity based that the aunties and uncles are driving in the community, but there was nothing that was catered towards the youth and nothing catered towards professional networking. So I was like, with a lot of market research, I was like, you know what, let me see if there is one. And I couldn't find anything. So, you know what, I created my like a quick logo on Canva, and I created my first group on Facebook actually. And I was like, you know what, if I make 10 friends, that'll mean the world to me. Little did I know, 7,000 members later, we would end up to where it is today. We've hosted a lot of networking brunches, both in small and large scale. And we've been recognized by the US Senate. We actually have similar to you, we have a little talk show. Not as professional as you all are killing it. But we have a little podcast, well, not podcast, but like an interview per se. And yeah, so we do a lot of small and large networking events. We just hosted one in Treasury for 125 people, and I hosted my first live panel talk. I was so nervous for that, but
Oh, very
I was
cool.
like, you know what? Let me face my fears and I'll do it. So that's what basically I did, and it worked. It turned out to be very good. And the panelists all were from different backgrounds, but the one common theme was that they were all very inspiring to me. So that's why I wanted to bring them together so they could really educate and inspire the youth. So
Well, what was the mission statement when you started this and you thought that you were looking for 10 friends? How old were you, and has the mission changed in the
yeah,
last few years?
so obviously, when starting something, it's a trial and error. So for me, the mission did a little change. Initially when I made this organization when I was 22, I thought it would just be like a networking platform per se. But then I realized like being an American born Indian, it's actually very hard to stay in touch with our culture. And I try to promote it as much as I can because when I was growing up, I was always considered like a fake Indian per se, and I was always considered a coconut, which is like white on the inside, brown on the outside.
Like
And for
Sabrina.
And that's because you grew up in the US.
yeah,
Okay.
I would always
Like
be considered like an ABCD, like an American born confused desi. And I was like, I am not confused here. Like, even only like, I want to change that, like, I want to change that an acronym, and I would be like American born culture desi. Because, I do try my best. So growing up, I was always involved with charity organizations in the Indian community. I was always involved with like the Indian, like dance, even though I don't know how to dance at all. But my mom pushed me to do like Indian dancing, and I was just stupidly sitting like in the back, like trying to, figure out how to even dance. But those were the stupid things I did as a kid. But when you think about it, like all these things really did change you, like as a man, as an Indian. So, you know, I try my best to, stay in touch with my culture, and I'm obsessed with Bollywood songs and movies. So yeah.
I have the theme for the thumbnail: American born, cultured, desi. That will be the title for
the
this
title of
episode.
this episode.
Yeah, thank you.
You
Sabrina?
know
Yeah.
what? Excuse me. I was going to ask you, we could edit this. It's the first time I've lost my train of thought. Maybe because it's our second episode today, and I'm like, hmm. Okay, tell me the best part about. No, I remembered. I'm going
Let's not
back to.
edit this. I like this. Let's not edit this.
Okay, we'll leave it. Is
Wait.
YIP a nonprofit?
Yes. So YIP is a nonprofit. All the money that goes into, the event stuff, all goes into, the event operations cost. So I didn't want to make it like a for profit because I didn't want to like make money off of this. That's why I have a job and other things. But YIP is a nonprofit, and I really do like it, and it really makes me happy to see like my resources can help other people.
And
Is there a team?
how long ago did you start it?
I
Did
started
you
2 years ago.
2 years ago and over 7,000 members?
Yep, 7,000 members. We host events every month. We have an initiative called Small Business Saturday. So we
Hmm.
promote a small business every Saturday. And yeah, like that's what goes on with you.
How big's the team?
So I have a board of advisors that advise me and the organization, and we have nine highly accomplished professionals that are in the group, all coming from different backgrounds and diversities. So they're all really there to help me and advise what I'm doing, if I'm doing something right or wrong, and they're there to advise even the members of the organization.
And how big can this grow? Like, are you trying to find other YIP organizations in the rest of America, or
So
what's the goal?
eventually, yes. Like I really want to focus on Boston first because I feel like we have a lack of Indian youth um presence in the community here. So I really want to make it strong in Boston itself. And then once I understand that it is strong here, then I want to take this nationwide because I feel like in America there's a lot of CEOs that are Indian based. And there's a lot of people in the Indian descent that are very accomplished, and they can be good mentors for the Indian youth. And I feel like if we really do build a community that's very united, that could really be an empowering thing, and that could really provide so many resources for people that even come from India to America to study. So I feel like this would be a very good strong knit community that we can provide for people even from India.
When we first spoke, we did an
Yeah.
intro call. You said you're a big advocate for mental health,
Yes.
and that when you were younger, you were bullied.
Yeah.
Um, if you don't mind, could you share more with us about that?
Yeah, of course. So basically, when I was growing up, I was always considered different just because in the Indian community in the town I live in, it's very, focused on like, being friends with each other. If you were friends with someone that's outside of the town, you would get judged. So for me, like when I was growing up, I've always wanted to, accomplish and be successful outside of Andover. So I always would branch out. Like I became an ACO youth leader. ACO Vidyalaya is a charity organization that provides education to children in the remote villages of India. So I really did like that mission. So I wanted to be part of that. I started getting part of like other youth-led organizations in the Boston community. And with that, people got jealous here. And people didn't really take that right. So during school, I would get bullied a lot. I would always get teased and say like, oh, you're just different, and then they would always disinvite me to things. They would not like, include me in the group. And for me, that made me really depressed. A lot of people started like, yelling at me and starting fights out of nowhere. And that really affected my mental health. And, thankfully my parents were very supportive over like what was going on. And they suggested me to see a therapist when I was in school. So I saw a therapist that was in the school like once a week. We had our weekly check-in. So at least that was,
Did
help
it help?
it helped me a lot actually because they're professionals, and I feel like something in the Indian community that we lack is that there's a lot of people that think like, oh, mental health is not a real disease. It's something that it's fake. It's something that you really made up. And even though it's not a real disease that you can see, you can actually like feel it. And I read this on the internet that more than half of the Indian youth do face mental health issues. And for me, when I read that statistic just the other day, it blew my mind, and I was like, we need to do something as a community to lower that statistic, because if we really do rely on like therapy and professionals, that could really help us as a society. And it's sad like that we face like all these like anxiety and depression, because like obviously there's a stereotype like you have to do well in school. If you get like a 96 in a test, your parents are going to be like, "Oh yeah, where was the other 4%?" So, it's crazy that like academic pressures are, something that really is a big thing in the Indian society. Like we I grew up doing Kumon. I grew up doing Russian school of math because, we had to be better than everyone else. And that also was pressure because it was added workload with also the workload that you're doing here and school. And then if you were also not part of like any AP classes, you were also judged. So, it's a lot that's on our plate. And as Indians, like I know we're considered smart, but we should do it in a way that doesn't affect our mental health, because having a positive mindset can also impact the way we work.
Amitu, did your kids, have they done Kuman? Has Gotham done Kuman?
They started Kumon. They're in the American school over here in Chile. I
Mm-hmm.
think they're quite behind in maths, English, in every subject versus the Indian kids in India. But
Okay.
there's not that academic pressure growing up in Chile. Um, so we are slightly behind international standards, but we are right. They are right where they should be, right in
I
terms
asked
of their
because
Yeah. I think
Nehari,
every kid has their own journey, and
yeah.
there's no real set timeline about when they should be like when they should like succeed this or that. I feel like everyone has their own journey, and they can do it on their own time. So I really like how Chile there's like
Yeah.
not really that much of a pressure for academics.
I think what it is just it's just everything is so competitive now, right? So we got good grades, not because of my parents, was because I wanted to get into a good college, right? And
so
that
were your parents strict with you about grades or no?
I was unfortunately one of those guys that did get the hundreds in
Yeah.
maths. So for
Yeah.
me, I found academics easy in school. So I didn't have to work that hard versus other people I knew. But I think it was the process. It was the discipline that every day after school you would eat, have your shower, and then you would do your 2 hours of homework and
Mhm.
sit in a desk and work for 2 hours. My
Yeah,
kids don't do that because they're in the
that's
American school,
exhausting. That's
right?
exhausting.
But for me, it wasn't tiring. Like for me, I looked forward to it because I
Yeah.
enjoyed maths. I enjoyed English. Like for me, it was part of play. It wasn't. I didn't feel like someone was putting pressure on me. Like I would laugh the day before an exam. Like I would finish an exam, I'd come out with a smile, and I'm one of those cocky people that would finish early and put the pen down and look at everybody like, "What are you
It's like
doing?"
mic drop done.
Yeah, yeah.
Extra.
I
Yeah.
was one of those. I was one of those cocky idiots. I
Yeah.
admit it, right? And I always got good grades and all that. But I don't think that helps. It helps get the job. It helps get the next position. But I don't think that what life is about. And nowadays, especially with tech and I just don't think education is as important as it used to be. I now value more communication skills, interpersonal skills. Like you mentioned, the public speaking. I'm 47 and I've never done a public speaking engagement in college or uni, right?
Mm.
Which is appalling, right? So the first time I spoke was at some wedding for a friend, and I had to have at least 5 drinks before I had the balls to get up there and speak.
Yeah.
And people think I'm a confident,
Yeah.
fun, easy to speak kind of guy. But it's just I didn't have that skill set because we didn't practice it. I believe practice makes perfection, and everything can be learned.
I do echo with you with that because in the community I get asked to sometimes MC events. So when I first MC'd my first event, I was so scared. I was like, "Why are you making me do this?" But someone told me they're like, "If you just go in the room and just focus on one person, then just you'll be fine." So I did that, but like growing up as a kid, I was like this shy kid. I was like the one that was like in the corner of every party. I would just sit in the corner, eat my Indian food, and call it a day. I was just like not social. I was like, what am I doing? Like, why am I here? Like, I was questioning my existence. I was like, what am I doing here? And then, when I started doing these MCs events, I was like, you know what? These are actually pretty fun. And like my last event, my first ever event I did with Yip was 400 people, and I had to deliver that speech. I was so scared, but you know what? I did it, and now it's like, what's the
Now
worst?
you enjoy it.
Now, yeah, and I'm like super passionate about it, and I'm like, what's the worst they can do? Bite me? Like they can't do that. So
But it applies to everything, even podcasting,
yeah,
right? Our first episode, Sabrina and I were like, what are we doing? Like, we cared about everything. Now we're on episode 50 something,
now
and we just have a
congratulations.
good time. We
Look,
don't
I
care.
actually froze a few minutes ago, and I was like,
Yeah,
okay.
no, and
Let's
we don't care if somebody
yeah.
watches us or not. Like, we just have a good time, and that's what
Yeah,
it's about. So I
that's what
wouldn't be
I
too hard on yourself.
that's what I
What was
believe
the
in
best
life.
part about Yip for you? What's
So there's a lot of good parts that happened with Yip. When I first started it, I was like, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm just gonna wing it. But the fact that like people are making genuine connections, and when I hear all the success stories, like, some people told me, oh, we got a photographer because of your organization. Oh, or people are like, oh, we got DJs because of your organization. Oh, we made a whole new friend group because of your organization. That means the world to me because at the end of the day, it's a platform for connecting people together. And so when I hear these success stories, they make me more motivated and doing more things for Yip because these things like make me really happy. Like I remember someone got an internship because of my organization. So I really do feel like these success stories really drive me. And when I first started Yip, I got a lot of setback. I was like, people like aunties and uncles were like, "Oh, you're starting an organization. We don't think it's gonna go well." Well, auntie and uncle, I hope I'm proving you wrong because it's going pretty well. But there's always you have to learn about like things that are going right and things that are going wrong. Then you obviously have to learn from it. And I just really like what I'm doing, and it's creating a big impact in the Indian community here in Boston. And I've gone to the point that now it's like recognized in different organizations. We were a community partner for the Harvard India conference that happened this last past year. So that really helped. That really was a really pinch me moment when I saw my logo on their stage. I was like, oh my
oh, that's
God,
That's
like
awesome.
I was like, wait, is this real life? I had to like think I had to like snap out of this dream. So,
Yep.
I really do appreciate what is going on, and I really am meeting a lot of cool people along the way. And yeah, like I really do enjoy what I'm doing, and this makes me really happy that I can do this for people here.
Can I share something with both of you?
Yes.
I heard this in a podcast. They asked a bunch of oldies, like 80 plus, 85 people who are in the last decade of their lives. And they said, looking back, what are the top three regrets that you have? Right. And they asked like thousands of people. And obviously, there were 100 answers. But the top three answers, which surprised me, and I want to share with you from three to one, right? Number three was we should have traveled more. We should have traveled more when we had the chance. We always made the excuse of work or next year, next year, next year, right?
okay.
Number two was that I didn't make enough effort to keep in touch with that friend slash partner, right? Because people move on, they move on with life, and then you forget that you become friends with someone, and then you lose that friendship for a year, 2 years, and then you don't want to go back because it's awkward, right?
Yeah.
And number one, which surprised me, was that because I felt two and three were all things that you do with other people. Number one was more of a mental one. It was, I was too hard on myself in my 30s, 40s, 50s. I was too hard on myself. I put too much pressure on myself. And actually, now I realize that I did the best that I could with the resources that I had at that time and that circumstance. And now that I look back, all that energy and mental stress that I gave myself in those days and those years was actually wasted energy. And now it's hard to look back and smile about those moments when I should have enjoyed the journey and smiled during those tough years. And I just thought that the most interesting reflection that people look back was that, hey, don't be too hard on yourself. You
Mhm.
know, as a parent or as a partner or whatever your job is, you're
Mhm.
doing the best you can. And I feel that puts me in a very good mental perspective as to where we are, right? Every time I'm stressed, I'm like, you know what? I'm doing the best I can. All right.
Yeah.
That's what I
Like,
always say too.
leave me alone. And another thing, this is just my personal thing. When somebody tells me that I'm doing a bad job with my children or like raising
Who
my
tells you
kids,
that?
just a lot of people like say, oh, you should do this with your kid, or you should do that with your kid. I look at them and I smile and I just literally go, fuck off. Be like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you can blame me for many things in life, but don't accuse me for doing a bad job, being on my kids, because that's one thing that I pride myself in. So I just feel like, don't be too hard on
I
yourself and
don't think
just
you
enjoy
should
the
be
ride.
hanging out with the people who even tell you how to parent your kid.
You
This is
know, but
this is
everyone comments, right? You're close to people.
no, this is
People
what
judge
I
all day, Sabrina.
this is what I hate about our
Yeah.
Indian community is that we're so judgmental for other people. Like everyone compares every kid to other kids. It's all about competition and a lot of the Indian community, right? Like here in Boston, I can vouch for I see it all the time. It's like there's so much drama within the auntie and uncle community that we forget like to even have fun. Like a lot of my friends when we go out, it's just like we just go out, talk about nonsense, and we just have a good time. But like the Indian community is so built on judging people, talking, bad about other people. And for me, like that's some narrative I want to change. And this is not gonna go well. And that's not how we're gonna progress as a society if we keep judging people and judging
Kids
like
schools,
kids' school. Like
financial.
yeah,
Okay.
like
It's school.
there's a private school here in Andover called Phillips Academy, and there's also a public called Andover High. And literally, if you didn't get into Phillips Academy, you were considered dumb. And I'm like, the people that are from Andover High are doing much better than the kids that are from Phillips Academy.
You're
So
making me think the only people who've asked if I'm going to put my daughter in private school are Indian people here.
yeah,
Sabrina, I got a dirty look last week when I told somebody I'm doing a 9-hour flight on economy. They're like, you're not flying business? 9 hours? Really?
oh my,
Ugh, ugh. I'm like, yeah, I have 3 kids,
I know.
like,
and they judge you based on the house you live in. Like if you live in a big house, people come running after you, and I'm like, these are things that like
I think the three of us, I'm going to
I
guess
live in a
that
big house. I live in a big house, so be careful. Huh?
I think the three of us are at the mindset that we're like, we are who we are.
yeah,
You can judge because there was a woman that lived down the road from me, was also Cindy, and she was hesitant to invite Indian people to her house. And I didn't get it. I was like, why? She's like, well, because they all live in these like posh neighborhoods and
yeah.
really huge houses. And I was like, aren't you proud of your home? Like it just, I couldn't understand her way of thinking. And I'm like,
You've become American, Sabrina. You're no
screw them.
longer
If
Indian.
I
they
think
don't wanna, if they don't like your house, kick them out. Like,
yeah.
don't invite them.
No,
I
I
just
this
don't
is
get that, you know?
this is an Indian youth problem that America like people from America face. Like I do live in a pretty good house, and but I always told my like friends like it's my parents who worked hard for this house. Obviously like I give them full kudos, but don't judge me based on the house I live in. Like yes, did work hard. You can work hard too if you to afford this kind of house. But don't make that my full personality because for me like I like to judge people based on who they are as an individual, and I really like to get to know people before I make my judgment. And
Do you
like
have conversations like this within the organization?
yeah, I do have this because this is
Mental health. We
yeah.
brought up mental health,
So
things
I've
like that.
I've hosted a few mental health panel discussions with experts on this field and people really did appreciate it because these are things that I want the Indian youth narrative to change. Like I want like the stereotypical like oh yeah like everyone has to be a doctor, lawyer, engineer or like um mental health is another topic and people considering Indians from India and Americans from Indians from America, they consider themselves different. And I'm like, no, this is a narrative that I want to change because at the end of the day, we're all the same people. We're all Indian. And we all love Indian food. We all love Bollywood music. movies, song, like everything. So this is a thing that like I want to change with the youth, but like also there's a lack of Indian youth initiatives in Boston, and I was talking to a
Which is
friend.
surprising. There's so many Indian like kids there
That's what
going to
you think.
university,
That's what you think. But everyone here, they just talk about like, oh yeah, it's something like this needs to change, something like this needs to change.
but no
But
one's doing it.
they never take action towards it. Like for me, I noticed that there was a lack of professional networking groups in the Boston community. And I took action. I was like, you know what, let me find a solution. But that's because I have a business mindset. And also I hate my brain sometimes because my brain keeps thinking about ideas and things that, would really benefit even me and even the society. So my brain always keeps thinking that, and sometimes I hate that about myself, but I like
That's a brown thing.
it's
That
a definitely wrong thing.
it's a brown thing. Yeah,
Yeah,
we all have it.
yeah. So a lot of people in the youth here, they just talk, but no one really does action. No one really wants to do things that drive to change the society. I know New York, New Jersey, Houston, Texas. I know Chicago, LA. They all have really great even San Francisco. They have really good Indian youth presence. But Boston, we're lacking. And now that I'm bringing initiatives in the youth community here through my organization, now I'm seeing a little bit of a change with the society. And now I'm seeing a lot more youth getting more empowered, and I'm happy that I could at least initiate that change.
Maybe they're just busy hooking up and like having a good time and partying and drinking at at your age,
That's true.
because they're students or just graduated, and they're thinking about just having a good time and not professionally mindset.
Yeah, no, I definitely do agree with that. I know there's a few people like I've seen this in society that people don't care about, actually achieving something. They care about like, oh yeah, when's the next party going to be? When is this going to be? But for me, like, yes, I do.
Maybe they have rich parents. Maybe they have rich parents and they know the income is secured. That's
Yeah,
good for them, right?
yeah. Like I've seen a lot of people like they rely on their parents' money, but for me, like my parents do have like we're pretty well off, but for me, like I want to make my own identity. And this is one thing that reason I created Yip is because my parents are very well known in this community. And they're highly respected. But for me, like I didn't want to be known as like Preeti Manoj's daughter. I wanted to be known as my own identity. So like obviously have given me such good resources, such good connections. But for me, I wanted to also make my own identity and make my own path because obviously I don't want to be relying on my parents. Like honestly, like I don't want to be relying on their income as well. Like I want to make my own money. I want to be successful on my own. And I feel like a lot of Indian youth they think that, but they obviously rely on their parents for a lot of stuff.
Sure.
I did see on your LinkedIn that you posted the other day about the terrible rape in
Yeah,
India, the hospital, and
mhm,
that is an issue Amit brought up in yesterday's podcast and today's. You
yeah.
know, he's having sleepless nights. I went then and read more about it. Um, what are you feeling about this?
Yeah, so as a female who is also a healthcare professional, this kind of hit me a little bit differently. Obviously, like I don't really know much about the Indian healthcare community, just because, or the system, just because I don't live in India. But based on what I've been seeing, is that it is truly impactful. Like females shouldn't be feeling, scared to go out of their house and having being unsafe in the roads, being unsafe when they're going out late at night to go to their jobs. I feel like in times like today, men and women and all genders, because I know we have an LGBTQIA plus community as well. I feel like we should all be treated equally because we're all brought into this community equally. There shouldn't be like a stereotype like men are more dominant than women, men should make more money than women. I feel like there should be a gender neutrality, and a lot of people say like I read a statistics that in 2022 or something like that, India was experiencing women were having 90 rapes per day. Women was experiencing in India, and for me that was that really impacted me because, we shouldn't be doing this. We shouldn't be harming other people, and even when they're at work that in their work is like treating other people and being having other people's lives first. That shouldn't be the place to gang rape and murder someone. And also this goes twofold because hospitals are a place that provide safe patient care. And if you're really going to, screw up that community, then or that area, then you're really not going to have your loved ones getting the proper care needed. And hospitals should be equipped with security. They should be provided,
There was one thing. There was no camera. They didn't have
yeah,
cameras in.
there was no cameras
It was a
in my
dormitory
hospital.
room.
Yeah, in my hospital that I worked,
Sleeping in the
I,
carpet. They said there wasn't a dormitory.
No, it's not like a dormitory. It's a cemetery, like a what's it
yeah.
called, like a hall
Uh-huh.
connecting to the corridors. And in those corridors, they have like these thin sheets, which are mattresses,
Hmm.
and they sleep on those floor. For people who do these 36-hour shifts, it's a room for them. Remember, it's a college hospital.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
Yeah, so it's like a college student area where they like spend the night and sleep there. So
Yeah.
a lot of people sleep on the floor, right? In India, they don't have
Yeah.
beds or
Yeah,
mattresses.
So,
that's
I used to work at a hospital called Beth Israel, and I would see that because doctors would work tirelessly
true.
to,
Mhm.
have their 24-hour shifts. But like they're there to provide care for our loved ones. Why are we, like why are we messing up that environment? And also, like for my hospitals, like we have a badge swipes where people are not allowed to go to certain rooms. We have security cameras, we have proper security measures put into place. Why was it not put in that facility? So there's a lot of things that they could have done. I heard that some hospitals in India, they lack female like facilities such as female restrooms or female places where people females can go. And for me, like I think that everyone should be treated the same. And in a whole like having these honest conversations and having these like talks, and having lawmakers change rules can really elevate our community to the next level. So as a youth, we need to start having these conversations, and that's going to progress us as a society. And for me, that's what my mission is with YIP, is that I want to promote as much as we can so that we can elevate our community and future generations to the next level and provide better a better place for like people that are coming up soon.
I love it. I love it.
I think she was targeted. I don't think this was just a guy wanting to have sex. I think she was
Probably.
targeted.
I
Yeah.
Oh,
wish
probably.
I wish I could I wish that the intentions were known, but
We'll
it
find out soon enough. I think
yeah,
it'll come out.
I think it will too. But the government in India, they sometimes like they leave things hanging, and then they don't really tell the truth to a lot of people. So
I think this is too big.
yeah.
This is too
So
big. I'm
hopefully,
actually disappointed that the chief, like Modi, has not come out and said something.
yeah,
He's in Poland for
yeah,
business. I think this is so big. He should cancel his trip to Poland and be there in Calcutta, front, showing his face. This is for me like a 9/11 moment. Giuliani. This is for me huge. So
yeah.
uh,
Like
I
I feel like the media hides a lot of stuff. Like when Sri Devi died, literally there was like different narratives put into place. When Shashank Singh Rajput died, that was also another case that the Indian media didn't want to, or the government didn't want to like tell the actual truth. So I feel like in times like today, communication is key, and that's how we're gonna drive change in the society.
I wanted to know, if you weren't in healthcare,
Yeah,
what do you think you'd be doing?
I don't know.
running Microsoft.
I would honestly probably have, since I have a really big entrepreneurial mindset, I would probably find a way to start my own company or do something in the entrepreneurial leadership kind of role, because that's something I'm really truly passionate about. And obviously, like when I go, like, when I started Yip, like I feel like this was my thing. Like I could be a leader. I want to drive change. I want to do things that, on my own terms that could really drive change. So I feel like being part of that field would also be something that I would dive in. As a kid, I know this is such a like funny thing, but I would always want to be an actress growing up. Um,
Hmm.
my mom
We've
put
done it before. Other people have said it.
yeah, like my mom put me into like two auditions, right? And I realized I was like, I cannot memorize any of this. They made me like they made me memorize like a commercial script. And I was like, I literally cannot memorize for like in my life. So, I just was like, what, forget
So
that.
that wasn't going to work.
That's not gonna work. I'd rather just watch movies. I'd rather not be in them.
Yeah.
So,
But I mean, if it's just a matter of memorizing a few lines. I mean, there's a reason why the Indians are the spelling bee champions, right? Because they can memorize the whole encyclopedia.
I'm sure they can.
I wasn't good at spelling bees.
Indians?
I wasn't. This
You were,
Indian,
yeah.
no.
But
This
you were an ABCD, right? You're not really a.
Oh my God. You see?
This
And
is
I was
real
a
Indian.
boy here.
ABCD.
Yeah, this is a real Indian, like real Indian values, And they're all South Indian, right? They're all geniuses.
Have you ever seen, there's a documentary on how they're trained by their parents?
What is it called?
I don't remember,
Netflix?
but if you, I think
Yeah.
so. And I mean, like they, after every certain amount of time, like this boy had to like chug water to hydrate his body and his mind. It was just fascinating. And I was like, God, I think my parents did me a disservice.
We should add that in the skills that we want to learn.
Yeah.
That's
I
Before
can't even
insane.
do a
changing
Rubik's Cube. I
me.
can't even do a Rubik's Cube. I want to learn spelling bee.
Oh my god, I know some Indians are so crazy good at Rubik's Cube. I'm like, how do you do this? I feel like I'd break the Rubik's Cube actually.
No, I'm not good at it. I would start peeling off the stickers and putting them.
That's actually such a good idea. I'm gonna do that. I'll do that next time, actually.
I may not
Role model you are.
Such an inspiration. I love that.
Okay, Niharika, what's your definition of success?
Good question. I think my definition of success is, being happy and really doing the things that you want to do. And if the things that you're passionate about, or I know people have different scopes on what they're passionate about, but if you're really doing things that you're passionate about and you're really making a change in what you're doing as a person and as a society, for me that's success. And if you're really showing results and if you're really being truly happy and passionate towards what you're doing and also creating memories while you're doing it, I think that's success for me. And if you are living a good healthy lifestyle, if you're being healthy, and your health is good, because wealth is such a wealthy powerful thing, because you're not replaceable. So I feel like if you're healthy, if you have a good home, if you have food and shelter and water, and if you have really good caring support, and you're doing things that you have a professional job, well, even then. But I think those attributes really do define my like success from my own story.
The episode before you, which we recorded this morning, she is 22 years old and she said success was doing what makes you happy also. So
Yeah.
very similar answers. And yeah, I said she's 22. So
Yeah, I
wow.
just feel like in times like today, like if you're not truly happy in what you're doing, then you should change your career, or you should change something that you can actually be happy. Because if you're not happy, you're not going to show the results that you really can show your full potential for. Like for me, I'm super passionate about South Asian culture, and I'm super passionate about bringing youth initiatives into the community. So when I see that, and when I'm when I see like people actually succeeding because of that, that makes me really happy. And I just feel like your own personal mental well-being is like the most powerful thing ever.
I have something against your generation, Niharika. Well,
Okay.
many things, but one of them is you guys don't want to work in an office. You guys are happy at home,
That's
getting onto Zoom calls.
It's
That's
actually
And
not
so
even their
true.
generation.
I feel like, first of all, a third of relationships happen at work, right? And I think you learn and you get a different set of skills, and you professionally can move up a ladder if you are, there next to your boss, learning from them and communicating with them.
Yeah,
And I feel this generation is actually saying no and preferring to work from home
I mean,
Mhm.
and
I agree.
closing the door.
I fully agree with that, because honestly, like I want to be able to work from wherever I want to be in. I love the fact that I wish my work could have a remote job, but I just what's it called? I just love working from anywhere I can be, having the flexibility, independence to do whatever I want.
How
While
about an office? If I told you to come to my office and work
yeah, so
9 a.m. to
I
6:30 p.m. 5 days a week,
I
and the pay was good, would you be happy? Or because there's no flexibility, you wouldn't
I
be happy?
I currently work in an office 5 days a week. For me, like I generally do prefer working remote. Obviously, office promotes your in-person culture, like you get to talk to people face to face. But in times like today, like technology is like in your hands. Like for me, like I think social media, if social media didn't exist, Yip would not exist. And social media in times like today is so powerful. I know like sometimes like people do detox because it might not be good for their mental well-being, but for me, like I've seen such powerful things happen because of social media. Like to be honest with you, like I wouldn't have found like many people to collaborate with if it wasn't for social media. So like with technology in times like today, people are just a text away, people are just a call away. Like I see people literally making deals not in your traditional office. People make deals when they're driving somewhere, or I see my dad making like real estate deals. Like he's made real estate deals in Switzerland on top of mountains, which is insane to me. But we live in a time like today that technology is like powerful and it's so advanced that we can work from anywhere. And like my life is so short that I want to be able to travel everywhere. So if I could travel while working, like that would be such a power, like that would be so good, and that would be so rewarding for me because I feel like when you're in a traditional office and you have to keep asking for PTO and when you could take up time off, but like you live only once, so I want to be able to travel like all around the world, even when I'm like making profit and multiple streams of income.
Okay. I have another bone to pick with this generation.
Sure.
So, you know, when I was young and I had to ask a girl out, I would have to have the balls to pick up the phone and call her
Mm-hmm.
and say, "Hey, ABC, you know, it's your lucky day. I'm offering my services tomorrow night, blah, blah, blah," right? Nowadays, it's like an Instagram DM. Yo, free tomorrow, 5 p.m. What you doing?
Or
Like,
you get the
Why
US
did your
salary.
voice change? Your voice totally
I
changed
look,
when
I
you're
just went younger.
making
I went
someone.
younger, Sabrina. I went American. I went American. I was like, yo, American, dude,
Yeah.
don't you feel like it's the charm is gone of
Oh,
dating?
it's totally different now.
I
Yeah.
mean,
I don't feel
yeah,
like people meet in person anymore.
Well,
people
they date,
literally
Sabrina.
people
No,
literally
they
on
meet like they first meet over, like you said, a DM or an app,
yeah.
right?
Yeah.
But people aren't meeting like at work or at a bar. No one meets at a bar anymore.
Yeah. No, I just feel like with dating, like it's such a interesting like topic because a lot of people in the youth, they're like at least people in my age, they're not ready to settle down. They just want to have fun. Like as you said before, they're only interested in like hooking up or like, parties. And
Nothing wrong at this age, right? I don't think there's anything wrong with that at this
I
age.
don't think it's anything wrong, but I don't think people are like really thinking of like marriage. I know this was a thing back 20 years ago,
Why
but
should they at this age,
yeah,
right?
so like honestly, like I think the like for me, I rather wait till I'm older, a little bit more older, so that I can think about marriage because I feel like there's so many things I want to accomplish on my own before I even think about that. But I know there's like people that, they just want to rush to get married, they want their dream wedding, they want their dream guy. I know like a lot of like people that I've like all the girlfriends I have, they all like are saying, "Oh my God, we wish we had a boyfriend, this, that." But
Are they Indian?
they're all most of actually all my friends are Indian, but
Okay.
when I was in college,
You have that mentality then. Like, I
yeah,
am ready to settle down.
yeah. So for me, like when I want a relationship, I want to be serious, and I want to, I'm not dating for heartbreak. I'm dating for marriage per se. So that's why like I'm waiting, until the right age happens. But I f- I feel like in times like today, like a DM is like normal now. It's not like your traditional like love letter or like a grand way to asking. Oh,
DM.
yeah,
Can I make a recommendation?
sure.
This is not dating advice,
Yeah.
but uh, I now know too many girls over 40 who regret the
Mm,
the the attitude or what you just said, because when they were 20s and 25 and even 30s and they
Yeah.
got approached by guys for dating,
Mhm.
they said no, 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 I'm not ready, I don't want to think about it, blah,
Yeah.
blah, blah. And the girls who were dating when they were young and people used to judge them are today the girls who are married with 2 3 kids and living their best lives. And many girls I know today are over 40, 45, and have
Yeah.
given up now on even marrying, right? But it's those girls who put themselves out there. Dating is like everything else in life. It's about practice and experience. And you
Mhm.
don't really know what you want until you actually have a partner, right? I would even encourage, I know we're Indian, but I would even encourage living with somebody now before marrying, you know? I know
I
my
think
parents wouldn't like to hear that, but that's what I believe in now because I'm
mhm.
married.
yeah.
But, before for me, that wasn't even an option. the girls I dated, I would never think about living with them before getting married. Now I wish I did. But I just feel like I don't think you're too young, is my point. And I think you learn what you want by dating.
Yeah,
And the sooner you start dating or the sooner you put yourself out there, the sooner you will find something that's compatible with you.
yeah,
And that process is not a 6 month, 1 year process.
yeah,
So my recommendation is don't think you're too young.
yeah.
2 cents
That's
from
actually
Uncle Amigo.
that's actually
No, but Sabrina, what do you think?
I think honestly, I actually think you're right because the more you
yeah,
meet people now, the more you know whether you know what you like and what
yeah,
you don't like.
yeah,
Yeah.
But I just love how he just wants to give he it is advice.
yeah. No, and I think that's really
It's
Love it.
recommendation from
really
experience
helpful.
because I'm no longer 22.
I mean, I'm only 24, so obviously I haven't explored, like, I haven't experienced most things in my life. But like, it's funny that you say that because my parents, they're like, "Oh, you should, beta, you should start dating. Like, you should start meeting guys or like meeting things." And I'm like, "Okay, mom. Okay, dad." So they think they're cool when they say that, but they are pretty cool. And I have to actually commend them on that. But yeah, like I do think that if you start young and you really like understand what you want and what you don't want. So
For
that's
sure.
actually really great advice that you just gave.
Yeah, but especially because you say you're 24 now, but before you know, you're so focused on what you're doing, yip grows and triples. Next thing you know, you're 34. You know what I mean?
Huh,
Or like you never know.
it's crazy.
And then you look back
Yeah,
and you're like, oh shit, I missed out on like 10 years of dating and fun.
yeah.
Yeah.
So
No, I look back and I'm like, when I was like, how did I start Yip? Like, I don't know how I did this, but like, it's things. And now I'm like recently, I'm actually just starting masters. So, that's also a nice life advice. Hi.
they can't hear you. I've got the
Oh,
headphone on.
um,
This is my life, Rayan.
oh, hi, Ryan. I know you can
I like
hear.
He's
I
got a
like
bad
his
cough.
messy jersey.
Yeah. Yeah.
Very
Sorry,
cool.
carry on.
No, you're good.
Well, we have a rapid fire segment.
Okay.
We'll ask you some fun
Is it
questions and
Coffee
first
with Karan? I love that.
is it what?
Coffee with Karan?
Oh.
Sabrina, that's a TV show Karan Johar does in
Yeah.
India.
Oh, I
And
didn't know
in
that.
yeah, and he's like Mr. Bollywood,
Yeah.
big celebrity, right? Biggest producer.
Yeah. I
And
know he
he
is.
calls in the Bollywood stars
Yeah.
and he gives them like $100,000 hampers and it's like a proper show,
Yeah.
very popular in India. And in that, he also does a rapid fire.
Oh, very
Yeah.
cool.
But it's very
So
fun and it's very
it's like
topical
something with
to the
Karan.
individual.
Yeah.
Okay, so if you had your own theme song, what would it be?
Oh, jeez. अभी तो party शुरू हो गया.
I don't know that
And what
song.
does it mean? Like
Uh,
for non-Hindi.
it means now the party just started because I
Oh,
arrived.
all right.
I like that. Confident answer.
Yeah.
Okay, if we had to delete all the apps on your phone and
Yeah.
only you would have three, which three apps would you keep?
Okay. I would keep iMessage. I would keep Instagram, and I would keep LinkedIn.
Okay. Not WhatsApp, right?
Oh shoot. Yeah.
What do you use
iMessage
more?
only.
No,
Would you use what do you use more?
I
iMessage?
use WhatsApp for my WhatsApp group, but yeah, no, iMessage. I prefer.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's an American thing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
we don't use iMessage.
You told me when we first spoke that you're a foodie.
Yeah.
What is your favorite cuisine?
Definitely. Oh god, this is a tough question. I would say definitely Indian.
Okay.
If you had to tattoo two brands here and here, and those brands were companies, and you would have those brands' products or services for life for free, what would the two brands be?
I love this question.
Yeah. Well, hopefully I don't pass out because I'm afraid of needles. But if I had two brands tattooed, it would probably be. That's such a tough question. I would say that's such a hard question. You really
Sabrina, what two brands would you tattoo?
stumped me on this.
So The first time he asked to guess this, I said Amazon because Amazon sells everything.
That's
So
what I
then I
was
would get
thinking
everyone.
too.
So Amazon. And then yesterday, one of our guests said Chanel, and I was like, ooh, good one.
I said Four Seasons, right?
Yes, you said Four Seasons.
Four Seasons and an airline.
And
I
then
would
airline.
say
That's a great one.
I would say Louis Vuitton because I love their logo. And then
You love their logo. You like their products.
both. I love both. I,
Okay.
I have to admit that. And then I don't know about another logo. That's actually a really good question. I don't know.
Thank you. We try.
I know you really
Okay.
stumped me on this one. I think this is the first time I got interviewed and I got stumped. So good
Ooh. Oh,
job.
my God. Indian
We'll take
Explorer.
we'll take it as a win.
Yeah,
Sabrina,
All right,
definitely.
Louis Vuitton. We'll go with that one. Okay, last
Mhm.
question. Describe yourself in one word.
Brazilian.
Resilient.
it's a
Good
good one.
one. That's a great one.
I
Yeah.
like one. Niharika, it's been a pleasure getting to know you,
Thank
and
you
thank you
so much.
for taking the time. And I hope Yip carries on growing,
Thank
and
you.
I hope you keep enjoying what you do. Right? I hope you learn from your experiences. I hope you date a lot, and I hope you keep in touch.
Yes,
Yeah.
of course, and thank you so much. And I really do want to thank you both for doing this podcast because I feel like this is going to be a good impact for our society. And you're bringing light on success stories of Indian descent, which is super incredible because we all have accomplished a lot of things as a society. So I want to thank you both for doing tremendous work and doing the work that you do every day because I feel like this is going to be very impactful for today's society. So thank you both
Thank
so much for doing this.
you. Thank you. And it was so great meeting you and having you on. And I cannot wait to see what you continue to do in the New England area. So,
Thank you.
everyone, this has been a great episode of Indian Explorers. We hope you enjoyed it as well. And say hello to our little guest if you're on video. Thank you, everyone. Please subscribe and share it with others. Have a great day.